This is the Redmi Note 15 5G, and on paper it looks really good. You get a really bright AMOLED, massive battery, fast charging. So what's stopping us from recommending this budget smartphone right now? Well, we're about to tell you. The cameras on the Note 15 are powered by two lenses. You get a 108 megapixel main lens and an 8 megapixel ultra wide. And on paper, that main lens actually does a pretty good job in outputting images with nice balanced colors and good level of detail. In no way are these images going to blow you away, to be fair, but they are very usable and very solid. And at this price point, the output is actually pretty good. The 8 megapixel ultra wide on the hand is decent, is a decent addition as well to this, and moves away from the 2 megapixel depth sensor that we found on the Poco M8 5G. Images can look a bit soft, especially around the edges, not very crisp or detailed in any way. They are usable, to get me wrong, but we wouldn't really depend on it if you're shooting expansive views or landscapes. Video is 4K 30, and again, much like the main lens, produces pretty decent results with well-balanced colors, and overall is very usable for sure. The colors may not pop, but they do a good job overall. Much like the Poco M8, we would say sticking to the main lens for photo and video, you will have a pretty good experience. Ignore the ultra wide for sure, but that is an upside of this Redmi Note 15 versus the Poco M8. They both look very similar on paper, but the 8 megapixel ultra wide is a nice addition versus the 2 megapixel depth sensor. The Redmi Note 15 5G launches with Android 15 and HyperOS 2 out of box, which, much like the Poco M8 series we reviewed recently, is a bit of a shame. You do get 4 years of 4 OS updates and 6 security updates to be exact, which is great, but you will lose one of those pretty soon when HyperOS 3 drops on this phone. And overall, the experience is actually pretty good on this phone. It runs reasonably well, smooth transitions, no real issues, any crashed frame rates, things like multiple windows open at the same time operate very well, and then you get all the customization options that you would on HyperOS 2, but not as much as you'd get on HyperOS 3. You also get the integration of full AI editing via the gallery. Now, that's the only AI you'll see on here, with the exception being Google's Gemini, which is built into the device, and things like circle to search work really well, as well as prompting Gemini independently if you wanted to put together a ask or a multi-layered request. The downside of the OS, of course, is this huge folder we have here with over 30 pre-loaded apps, and they are incredibly intrusive. Well, there's a few that's incredibly intrusive. One called AppMole, which essentially prompts you to download random apps on the App Store, and then will also prompt you with updates. The updates aren't too bad, but the random download of apps is very annoying. And it's not just that, there's also a themes app, which will again prompt you to download more, which is a shame. And to be honest with you, much like the M8, it devalues what is probably a pretty good, say 7.5 or 8 out of 10 software experience by having all of this junk on there, which you can delete, but you can't delete all of it. So the app called AppMole, you will actually have to disable notifications. You can't actually delete the app, which does dilute the software experience somewhat. Under the hood of this phone, you get a Snapdragon 6 Gen 3 that powers this Redmi Note 5G, and then it is an overall pretty basic processor. So any high-performing tasks or gaming, that processor will struggle, of course. And on the gaming front, if you keep it casual, things like Subway Surf as an example, or Mario Run, you'll get a pretty decent experience. Graphics look pretty good, runs really smoothly, and then the touch response is again very good. Then on the battery performance side, you get a 5,520 mAh battery, which is a monster, with 45 watts of wired charging. Both, I think, in this sector are pretty much class leading or in line with what you'd expect come in out of most phones. And then to put that in real world terms, what that means is streaming content on here, browsing the web and gaming. You could do this for 3 to 4 hours a day, every day, without fail, and it'll last you a couple days pretty comfortably. In fact, by looking at the battery menu here, we've had multiple hours of usage, and it still has a pretty decent amount of battery time, and that factors in screen on time as well. So in terms of battery, it's ace. The Note 15's design is very slim and very slender, and has adopted a curved display, much like, you guessed it, the M8, which this is pretty much identical to, minus those rear cameras that we mentioned on the back. The phone itself feels really nice in the hand, and it's only 7.3 7.4 millimeters thin and weighs just 178 grams. On the back here, of course, you do get the large sensor, the camera housing, which is again reminiscent of the Poco M8 5G. And then overall design aspects are exactly the same. You even benefit from a micro SD slot at the bottom here, which will allow you to expand storage. There is no 3.5 millimeter jack, just to make you aware. Up front, the display is for sure the star of the show. It's a 6.77 inch AMOLED display with 3200 nits of peak brightness at 120 Hz, which works perfectly for watching back content. Colors pop off the screen with rich detail, and no matter what the environment, the visibility is great. You also benefit from pretty decent speakers. They're not particularly bassy, but they're decent and clear enough to listen to music or audio out loud without any real distortion. So why isn't the Redmi Note 15 the perfect budget phone to buy? Well, a couple of reasons. One, the upgrade from last year's 14 is not all that significant. In reality, it's a very minor spec bump, and it's not really worth it if you've already got that phone, or you can find that for roughly around about £150. You'll save yourself quite a bit of money. You may lose out on the OS updates, but you still get pretty much everything that replicates this phone. There's also one other thing, which is of course the ads. And much like the Nothing 3A Lite, both these two phones are impacted by random ads appearing on device. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. I think if you deleted a lot of those preloaded apps, disabled notifications on those few apps, the themes and the app mall that we mentioned, you'll get a pretty good budget experience. You'll get really good cameras, stunning display with excellent battery life. But let us know in the comment section below whether those ads are a deal breaker for you if you were to buy this budget Redmi Note 15. And whilst you're there, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and join us on our journey to 50k subs in 2026. Until the next one, as always, we out.